Hey guys, a quick update on the topic of delisting of Chinese companies that are listed in the US. It has been quite a bit of a ping pong, and in the past we had this huge drop due to delisting fears, companies being put on the list for delisting. We had Liu He, the vice president, coming out and kind of saving the situation, a very top-down approach, and basically saying that the Chinese government is supportive of Chinese companies going overseas, using VIE structure, using IPOs overseas, and wants to have it in an orderly manner and regulated, and at the same time supporting the markets. So that got quite some positive feedback. And then on Friday, the close was pretty bearish. Some attributed that to the news that the PCAOB came out and basically said that the excitement about Chinese companies staying listed in the US is basically premature. Actually, that wasn't Friday news. If you have watched my video on Thursday, I already pointed out that Bloomberg story, and basically also that this was Bloomberg exclusive news, dropped right in the market open, very strangely so, and basically that there are different ways of tackling this information. For example, that the CSRC, which is kind of the Chinese SEC, is basically saying, first of all, that the companies should prepare for disclosing their information. So asking private companies like Alibaba, Jingdong, and so on of doing that. And so that's the right step in actually, taking some action on what Liu He basically said. And meanwhile, the PCAOB, so the counterpart in the US, together with the SEC, saying like, well, this will not be a free lunch, right? We don't make any exemptions, and we basically want to have the full disclosure and information. And then I talked about how managers, fund managers, like for example from Grain Shares, the KWEB ETF, the CIO basically said like, well, he sees that there is this message that private companies should be able to open their information, and they are advised to do so. And while this may be not the case for some of the state-owned enterprises, which are frankly sometimes even already delisted, some of them are already put on some of the US lists of businesses that are not even allowed to doing business in the US anymore. And so, this is the complicated situation. Now, over the weekend, we had some news again. So I first retweeted that one here on Twitter. China Securities Journal, one of China's national securities newspapers, says that China and US security regulator agencies are working to achieve effective and sustainable audit and supervision cooperation as soon as possible. And so that's not a lot of doing. That's, again, a bit of talk, but again, a news source here, China Securities Journal, so an external party, if you will. And then China, the CSRC, hoped that market participants take the information publicly disclosed by regulatory authorities of both sides as a criterion and not blindly follow the speculative reports. So you can see that this was clearly an answer to what had happened and what I reported about on Thursday, when this Bloomberg story, which is citing nobody really as a direct source, is being published because we don't get any actual information by the PCAOB directly, right? We only get this Bloomberg report. And so the China side here is urging people to not follow those kind of speculations and rumors. Instead, wait for what the CSRC is saying directly, and the PCAOB as well as the SEC. And then yesterday, the CSRC had a video meeting together with some of the Chinese companies, so Chinese concept stocks. They mention here specifically that these are companies like NIO, like Alibaba, like, Meituan, and so on. They don't name which companies they spoke with, but yeah, they basically are inquiring their opinion, and that's good to see, because basically that shows that they're working on finding the balance there and working something out that is also in favor of those companies, I'm hoping. And what else? China CSRC said some media, not knowing actual situation, had made a lot of subjective speculations about details and direction of cooperation between China and US, which has caused unnecessary interference in market expectations. So once again, this is possibly about this Bloomberg news. And now today we have a Reuters report and is basically summarizing this whole situation again. Again, both China and US regulators are fully aware of each other's concerns. So this means China is aware of the fact that the PCAOB wants to have all the information, and the PCAOB is possibly, in fact, in awareness that the China side is looking at how they can basically, for which companies and what type of information they can actually release. And once again, the takeaway is most likely here that maybe some state-owned enterprises won't be able to release some of the information, because that might be still seen as some national security under the cybersecurity law, for example, or similar. And maybe also the call by the CSRC with some of the companies indicates that rather for the private side, that might be not so much of an issue, but that's just my interpretation here. Anyways, the situation is as it is. We cannot say that they are certainly going to reach this deal and agreement. We cannot say when and how this is going to be reached. It is a ping-pong situation, and the China side is urging not to speculate about it. But on the other hand, I think the investors have heard enough about the words, and they want to see actions now. But there seems to be something happening in the background, and also we can say that the fact again that they released this information over the weekend shows that they are working on it, and that they are willing to counter misinformation, and that they are certainly aware of the fact that this is also causing troubles in the stock markets. By the way, in case you're interested, I'm currently putting some Patreon-only content videos on the Patreon network. One is an interview and my commentary about NIO, head of power of NIO Europe, and the other one is speaking about NIO power in China and vehicle-to-grid solutions. So both of them are videos that are floating around, and I'm adding my commentary on that. If you're interested in that, feel free to join my Patreon. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.